I got the same message. But I'm gonna try again.
Hold tight, hold tight.
Oh, we're live.
Yes, you are. I think you just gotta cut your camera on. You're good. But
All right.
spotlight yourself. Spotlight yourself.
Spotlight myself first. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I hope that you are able to hear me and see me. Let's see here. I'm going to record. Yes. All right. I think we're good to go. I'm just going to check and make sure we are good with the volume. And if so, we'll get started. Good evening, everyone. I'm also going to do something that I'm asking you all to do, which is to share this to your page so that way someone may get this information that we have to share tonight, because it is very important. All right. We were having some minor technical difficulties. However, it did not put us terribly behind schedule. So we're happy to successfully be on live with no issues. Amen. Amen. All right. So once you have shared this information to your pages, come back in the comments and say hello. So I know who's here. I'm going to try to navigate between the online presence as well as my notes. So I'm going to do my best to navigate both, but let me just get here real quick. All right. Here we are. Make sure my volume is down. All right. Well, good evening, and thank you for joining me. My name is LaShonda Briggs, and I have the distinct honor and privilege to be the Director of Professional Development for Free2Prayz Solutions Incorporated. And we recently celebrated 5 years this year, on our way to our 6th year, and this month is National Career Development Month every November. And it's a great opportunity to come and talk to you all, to prepare you and or see where you are and offer our services as well. Under Free2Prayz, we are a nonprofit faith-based organization where we provide uncommon solutions to the community. And we do it in uncommon ways, and we're favored by God to be able to do it. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve in this nonprofit alongside my sister in Christ, Charmaine McAdoo, who is our CEO. And so she's in the Zoom space with me so that way we can present live to you. We hope that this is an engaging session, and hopefully you may feel like, okay, I don't need this information right now, but or this does not apply to me, but I am certain that there's someone you know in not too far proximity that could benefit from the information that will be shared. We have quite a bit to cover, but I think it's important for us to spend the time to do it because we are in such a changing climate when it comes to a career or a job or the job market. And so tonight we are coming to present to you from the thought of career ready, not scared. I think part of the problem is a lot of people don't know how to respond when things happen in their career, or they're not prepared for those things to happen. So hopefully in tonight's conversation, we're going to walk you through some of the things that are important for you to know in reference to how to be career ready and not scared. Okay, so thank you for those who are joining in the room. Good evening, DeWarren. Hello, Malcolm. Hey, Jaleesa. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. Please continue to share this information. So let me go ahead and pull up my PowerPoint. And as I mentioned, it is quite a bit of information. I'm not even going to hold you. However, I believe the information is so important to talk through, because I think that there are a lot of people who are, I'll go as far as to say, there are a lot of people who are challenged with the environment and the climate that we're in. And I think a part of it has to do with uncertainty, right? It has to do with uncertainty. And so you all should be able to see the screen. So let me make sure it's showing up the way I want it to. And I'm trying to look at the chat too. It's a little delayed, but I think we're good to go. Let's see. Are we good to go? You all should be able to see the screen. There we go. Okay, good. I know that we're good to go. I'm going to unpin myself because I don't want you all to have to continue to see my little face in the window. Actually, no, I think it's going to do that regardless. But I need to move this. All right. So tonight's conversation is about talking through career ready, not scared, positioning yourself for the unexpected. And I talked about how uncertainty is what drives a lot of the concern when it comes to individuals in the job market. And I think that a part of that is a lack of preparedness. And we can help you with that. We can talk through it and we can help you with that. And it's really about building resiliency and adaptability for career success. A lot of times you hear people talk about being focused on job security. And I think the thought of job security is nice, but the actuality of it is something of the past. What we really should be focused on is not securing our job, but securing our career. And the career has to do more with you than it does the job. The job is more about the place you work. And so we're happy to present this to you to talk about how to prepare for uncertainties in today's career landscape by building resilience, adaptability, and strategic preparedness. So we have an agenda, and here's some of the bulleted things we're going to try to work through. And my goal is to not keep us on here too long, but I want to make sure you do get this information. So we're going to talk about understanding the urgency for career preparedness. I don't know if you've felt it or not, or you've been impacted by it or not, but it's important to be prepared. Adapting to changing job landscapes, building resilience and career safeguards, personal branding and effective networking, developing transferable skills and action plans, leveraging resources and real life success stories. So we're going to talk about all these things and explore it today in order to help us be best prepared. So let's start with talking about the urgency for career preparedness. And when we say career preparedness, we're not just focusing on the person who is, in college preparing to graduate and needing to secure a job or possibly get into their field of their desired field. We're talking about anyone at any stage in your career, whether that is early career, mid-career, late career, or either retiring, right? You may think that's not a career move. Well, it's the latter part of your career. And in most cases, what we find is people struggle to figure out what they need to do when they retire. They're trying to figure out how to fill their time. So the pace of change in the job market, it is accelerating. I mean, we see it, pay attention to the news, and it's accelerating for several reasons: economic uncertainty, layoffs, and technological advances. Just recently, my previous employer laid off 13,000 people right before the holiday. Imagine what those individuals are feeling right now with that happening, and possibly the level of their preparedness that they didn't know they had to be prepared for that. Understanding these challenges is crucial to positioning yourself for long-term career success. So let's continue. Some of the influences fall under our economic uncertainty and the market volatility. There are global economic fluctuations that are continuously happening. You have a very unpredictable market condition based on various factors. It could be based on current administration. It could be based on how jobs are performing in the corporate space, how corporations are performing, and or the scrutiny that they may be under. And then being aware of the risks that are affecting the economy and how that matters to you. Many years ago, we've seen where individuals who have placed their life savings, their retirement into the stock market and trusted someone to manage that for them. Unbeknownst to them, they were signing up to lose their life savings and their retirement because someone else mismanaged their money, right? So all of these things play into the uncertainty of the economy and the volatility of the market. And there's many things that can affect that, right? But those things can also affect and influence career and financial planning. Being aware of that will help you be able to better mitigate risk. So how do you become aware of the things that are plaguing the economy? You do something that I don't like to do, and that is watch the news. The news will inform you, and it depends on what you choose to watch. Different news channels and outlets report differently, but try to find the most unbiased source, specifically when it comes to speaking about the economy. So CNBC, C-SPAN is another possibility. There's other options that Bloomberg Report. These are all things that will give you indications of the direction of the economy, which then potentially can influence and affect you. We have inflation. We have, it seems like prices of things are going up, but the income possibility is staying flat, right? Those things matter to you as well as to the type of career you choose or where you choose to stay and the industry you choose to stay in. There are some things that will you notice that have become pretty common. I just spoke of one. That was the layoff at my previous employer. I won't name them just in case there's some type of thing in the air where that we like you calling our name out, but it's public news, so I can say it. Verizon laid off 13,000 people. So layoffs, unfortunately, are not new. Like people are accustomed because they become such a common part of the corporate landscape. And there's different reasons why corporations will do layoffs. And we may get into a little bit around the why behind that, and why it means you need to focus on career security and not job security. But layoffs impact job security on a global front. There's oftentimes restructuring within corporations for them to be more lean, improve efficiency, but often those restructures, that reorganization will lead to workforce changes and uncertainty that may directly affect you. And I'm not saying all these things to make you scared. I think the lack of information and seeing things happening around you will fuel your fear. But being armed with information to be aware of what's happening allows you to prepare accordingly, to be able to mitigate certain risks when you have the proper information. Also, employment changes so far as the need for adaptability. Professionals, obviously, as professionals in any workspace, you should maintain adaptability and be able to be versatile and have a diverse portfolio that will help you navigate when changes like layoffs or restructuring are happening. If you are going to a job and it is just a job, meaning you show up, you clock in, you do your time, and you roll out, and you gain nothing other than a paycheck, you're doing yourself a disservice. If you are giving what the company asks for, and all you're getting back is a paycheck, maybe benefits as well, some paid time off, okay, great. If that's all you're getting, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're supporting the need of the company, you're supporting the mission of the business, but you are leaving away with what is expected. not really what you deserve. What you deserve is an opportunity to grow, to invest in yourself, to be developed, to be challenged, because I've often said education, whether that be in the corporate landscape, whether you pursue it personally, and we'll get to this when we talk about upskilling, those things that you invest in yourself is what you can take with you when all these other things are changing in the landscapes. And I can tell you from personal experience how I had the opportunity to work a plan that benefited me, but I'll get to that later. Now, one of the things that I'm sure we are all aware of is the rapid impact and influence of artificial intelligence. And one of the things we have to consider is how it is affecting and reshaping how work is done. And I think this is another thing where we have to address the fear is that if you do not embrace the new technology, you may be replaced by the new technology. I'll say that again. If you choose not to embrace new technology, i.e. artificial intelligence, you could possibly be replaced by it, right? Artificial intelligence, it is reshaping the landscape of certain industries, and it's happening quickly from government to corporate. It does not matter. It focuses on being able to automate tasks, redundancies, and creating those and eliminating those redundancies so that businesses can be more efficient and more productive, right? And in some instances, you will find that artificial intelligence and the use of it in automation will produce more than a physical person can do because the computer has been designed to do it. But there is someone who had to tell the computer what to do, right? The importance of staying informed as well, knowing what's happening in the industry that you're in, that is crucial to being able to adapt. If you don't know what's happening, you don't know where or how you need to change. Also, how competitive you need to be and remain in your particular field or profession. This is something I hinted at before, reskilling and opportunities. Reskilling enables people to seize new opportunities and job opportunities where you are. So you may be afforded the opportunity to take advantage of new jobs or things that embrace new technology. I would say don't be averse to embracing it, because what did I say earlier? If you choose not to embrace it, you may be replaced by it. But when you choose to be on the forefront of integrating things like AI or any other technological advancements within the job that you're working in, you now become able to influence the impact of that or inform those who are shaping AI to work and benefit where you are, right? Now, these are for people who are in the job market, but at the same time, for those who may be transitioning out or looking for a way to transition out of the job market, you may think, well, AI doesn't have an impact. Well, if you pick up the phone and you typically call any customer service line today, you don't immediately talk to a person. You're 9 times out of 10 going to speak to some artificial intelligence system that's been designed to service you. And so even knowing how to engage in the space of being a consumer, that's important for you to know as well. Now, the truth is that there are industries where AI can enhance, but AI cannot replace. And you find that in most of your service-based, customer service-facing, touch type roles, right? I would think of healthcare as being one of those. Where if you're in the service of people, then it's unlikely that AI could replace you, right? It may enhance what you do. It may make you more efficient in what you do. But I don't know about you. I don't want any AI, informed tool of any kind performing a surgery on me or servicing me in a hospital or, any other type of situation where you're having that direct contact. So being on top of what's happening in the industry will help you know how you need to change or how you need to prepare. So since we're talking about changing, let's talk about adapting to changing job landscapes, because job security is no longer guaranteed. It's not. You know, the days of, for those who may have applied in your household, in my household, it was graduate college, gonna go through school, graduate college, and get a good job. Like that was the expectation. The good job was to be able to support yourself and live the life comfortably that you desire to live. And the thought is that whatever good job you get, you will remain in that job for ever until you retire. Those days are long gone. If you happen to find it, you are one of the few. But because of the way that the job landscape is changing, job security is not a guarantee. But career security, that's your ability to adapt and grow. That's achievable. So that's why we're going to focus on being career ready, i.e., obtaining your career security. And let's talk about how to navigate disruptions effectively, because whether you like it or not, disruptions will occur. Um, Disruptions will occur anyway, personally, professionally, physically. It's possible. It's all about how you pivot and respond to what's changing in your life. So we just talked about job security means having a stable position within an organization without immediate risk of loss. I mean, if you're in the chat, if your job has never experienced a layoff, put a 1 in the comments. Right? If you've been on a job that's never had a layoff, whether it was you, hopefully it wasn't you, or around you, put a 1 in the comments. I highly doubt we'll have a lot of people who say, nope, layoffs have never happened in my job. Right? Even here's the thing I was fooled by, and that recently changed this year. People will say, oh, you got to get a good what kind of job? If somebody can put in the chats, I'm sure you could probably guess what I'm getting at. If you didn't work for one of the main service providers like the power company, or you know, maybe some other well-known business, you had to go out and get yourself a good government job, right? Because it was thought that a good government job would equal job security. I'm here to tell you, and there are many others across this country who are here to tell you that a good government job does not equal job security, right? It does not. Because the government just went under the order of Doge. Absolutely, government. I know, Malcolm, so sorry. We're living that life. But the Department of Government Efficiency recently implemented for several agencies within the government that they needed to streamline and become more lean, which meant, i.e., layoffs. And so, whereas people thought that they had job security with their good government job, they found themselves trying to figure out what was going to be the next step or decision for their career. Whether that meant, now I'm kind of forced to consider retirement earlier than I thought, because I don't know if I'll be on the tail end of a decision, or where can I go now that I am almost retired, or I just went through this long process to get to this good government job, and now my job is possibly in jeopardy. So job security is a thing of the past. Career security, however, it emphasizes possessing skills, building networks, and adapting to maintain long-term employability. The truth of the matter is, unless we go out here and strike it rich, which I hope many of you do, right? But the likelihood of that is probably some percent of a chance and percent of a million. I don't know what that math would be, but what you would know is that the likelihood of you needing to focus on career security is more certain than you striking it rich, right? So how do you maintain long-term employability? And we're going to talk about that as well. So here's the thing. There are common disruptions, and they may be external or internal, right? But understanding them help you to prepare emotionally and strategically. One of the things that I've often heard is for individuals who are impacted by a layoff or are kind of forced to consider retirement sooner than they thought, they really don't take into consideration the emotional toil it takes on their well-being. From the fact of getting up every day for a routine that they've had for years, clocking in, building networks, building community around them with their coworkers, etc., then now going to a whole different life. The emotion, mind you, if you're not in a position to transition into retirement, you're now forced to go back into the job market. Those things are stressful, and stress will wear you out. So career disruptions, being aware of what they could possibly be, and how you respond to them will help you be more prepared. So recognizing layoffs, burnout, restructuring, relocation is critical to preparing for career challenges effectively. The truth is, in the likelihood of our careers, it will happen. Prayerfully, it doesn't happen to us, but it will happen. Understanding disruptions helps to build your emotional resilience to face those uncertainties with your career, and not just to face them, but to face them with strength. And because we are a faith-based organization, we don't just face them with strength, but we face them with faith, knowing that whatever God allows and permits to happen in our careers and our jobs, that there's a purpose for that. And then we lean into what we've done to prepare for these type of changes, but we also lean into the fact that God knows what he's doing, and he's going to strategically place us where we need to be at the appropriate time, so that way we can be used for his purpose. So strategic readiness also is important to understand when it comes to common disruptions. So strategic planning enables individuals to adapt and respond successfully to career changes and disruptions. Strategic planning is really taking and focusing on a goal that will help you identify what you need to do to achieve said goal, and what that might be. We'll touch on to that. And if I'm going to put a shameless plug, because it's not, yeah, it's shameless plug. But if you are in a season of your life where you need help with the strategic readiness or emotional preparedness or being aware of the disruptions, that's where Free2Prayz professional development comes into play, where we will assist with coaching and developing a plan and helping you be prepared for whatever changes may be coming, right? We can't foresee those all the time, and sometimes we can, but we can be prepared as best we can for whatever might change. And we will get to a portion of question and answer at the end of the presentation. So if you do have a question that pops up now, and if you're anything like me, if you think of it, you need to write it down, go ahead and drop it in the chat, and we'll get to it at the end. Because if you're anything like me, I'll forget. So hopefully you're not. But so let's talk about how to navigate these three stages, particularly emotional stages of disruption. I think in life, there's various stages to different things that we experience. So there are stages of grief, right? Well, here's they're considered emotional stages of disruption. The first is shock. The second is adjustment. And thirdly, rebuilding. So the shock stage is what takes you unaware, where you talk about and you ask yourself the question, like, how could this happen to me? I didn't see this coming. And then it involves a whole lot of emotional weight, honestly, because if it's something that you didn't see coming, you weren't prepared for, it takes you off guard, it knocks you off your square, and you can become so overwhelmed, primarily because of all the things that you know that you're responsible for, or all the things that you are expected to do, especially if you're the breadwinner for your family, and you're not as prepared as you would have liked to be for a sudden change in your income or your household income, right? Those things take you off guard, put you in a state of shock. And sometimes you get stuck there in any one of these emotional stages, with the exception of building. Well, no, really shock. I'll just leave it there. Sometimes we can get stuck in the shock stage, and it causes us to get into what I call, and may have been coined, and you've heard it before, analysis paralysis, where you overthink about what's happened versus looking at the situation as an opportunity to do something differently about it, how you're responding. So responding is the adjustment stage. This is the kind of gradual pivot and turning the corner, identifying coping strategies in order to help you manage change effectively. And don't get me wrong, change can be a lot, and it can be overwhelming, and everyone does not absorb change at the same rate or at the same speed. And so there are times when we have to enlist additional help and support, i.e., get therapy, right? Partner with someone to help you get the coping strategies to help you deal with changes in life. We're talking about career changes, but change happens in every stage of our life at some point. And so we don't always have the answers, and that's okay. It's okay to acknowledge that you don't have all the answers and that there are resources available to help you get the answers, to know how to cope and deal with change effectively. So this is a plug I'm putting out to anyone who may be listening to this now or watch it later. If you are struggling to adjust to a change in your life, do not do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. All you simply have to do is be vulnerable enough to say, I need help. If you need recommendations for therapists, counselors, please reach out to Free2Prayz. We have counselors, Christian licensed counselors within our organization. We also have a network of individuals that we can connect you with, because you don't have to try to figure this thing out by yourself, right? Once you've gone from the shock stage to the adjustment stage, now you get the rebuilding stage. This is where you're taking productive and constructive actions with a renewed focus in mind, focus fully on bouncing back, right? Recovery and personal growth. Where I see people who are in the rebuilding stage, they say to themselves, I will do my best to ensure that this type of situation doesn't happen to me again. Now, it doesn't mean that they can control necessarily if it will or if it won't, but it is a mindset that says, I'm going to be prepared. So in the event, if it does happen again, I have a backup plan. If that's plan B, C, or all the letters in the alphabet, so be it. If it means that you've taken a moment to invest in yourself and develop personally, you are better for it, right? You are better for it, having taken the moment to do that. And good evening to everyone that's joining as well. So let's talk about building resilience and career safeguards. Developing a strong foundation of faith, strategy, and preparedness, it will help you withstand challenges and maintain momentum in your career journey. So here's a resilience framework, and I would suggest that you can ascribe to this not just for your career, but really in your personal life and ministry. It's a resilience framework, and it's focused on three things: faith, strategy, and preparedness. So faith acts as a source of emotional strength to overcome challenges and remain resilient. Faith is what really anchors us. And what I find is that when we are in a position to be vulnerable enough and we talk about what we're experiencing, we often can get testimonies from someone else. And hearing the testimony of someone else who's gone through something similar, or they may have wisdom about a certain scenario that you may be walking into or currently living in, those things often help to build your faith. That's what we're really admonished as believers to do, is to build up your most holy faith, to encourage one another as we're traveling and journeying through life. And so when it comes to your career readiness, you're going to need faith. I'm just going to say it simply put. You're going to need faith to be able to work through the challenges and the things that may happen. But faith stabilizes you, right? Faith becomes a foundation for everything else that's happening around you. Faith becomes an anchor to give you that resilience. Strategy is what provides a plan, right? And scripture says that a man can make plans, but it's the Lord that establishes his way. Here's the thing: scripture does not discourage you from making a plan. It says, make your plan and submit it to the Lord. And so strategy allows you to be resilient because you have a focus forward, right? It helps to guide career decisions and achieve goals effectively. I'll interject the story that I wanted to share, just my personal experience. So when I started at Verizon in 2006, I was a newly several months out of college, and was just focused on having a job. There, I'm grateful that I connected and networked with people, really people network with me, to help encourage me to do more because they saw that I could do more. So I came into leadership. One of the benefits that Verizon offered was to obtain a degree, whether that was a bachelor's or master's degree, and they paid for it. And so for about 6 years, I was being encouraged to go to school there, but I had had enough of school. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And after hearing it enough and maybe even some inspiration from the Lord, I finally decided, okay, let me go ahead and get my MBA. But what I realized was this, is that that was a part of the plan, because I recognized as I was, as a supervisor, as I was helping people prepare for their next or either to excel where they were, it was about them gaining things into their toolkit, right? Preparing themselves, because whatever you invest in yourself, you take that with you. And so I thought, okay, well, if something were to happen, because I gave myself like a 15-year plan to be at Verizon, don't know where that 15 number came from. It just felt like a good number, right? And I said, if something were to happen, how am I best prepared to respond to having to go back out into the job market? Well, you want it to be competitive. You want it to be marketable. And I knew that having a postgraduate degree would help me to be more marketable, along with the experience and all those other things that I could acquire. But the degree spoke volumes. And so I finally got the MBA. And shortly thereafter, my job experienced a layoff. And I was able to go to my current job with the government and show forth my degree that I earned and didn't have to pay for it. Thank you, Lord. And that allowed me to be in the income earning margin that I was comfortable with because I took time to invest, right? That was all about having a plan, right? The plan, I didn't know what would happen as a result of it. I just knew that there was something that I needed to do for my career to help prepare me for where I was going, i.e., there's something you need to do for your career that will help prepare you for where you are going. Okay. And then there is confidence through preparedness. Being prepared equips individuals with the necessary tools to face uncertainties confidently. You don't have to be afraid when it comes to changes that are happening around you. You don't have to be concerned about what is this going to do to me. If you have a plan, you could be confident about executing that plan because you've taken the time to invest in yourself and prepare, right? That's what it's all about. That's how you build this resilience framework. It's about focusing on not what happens to me, but what can I do to respond to what's going on. So let's talk about some of those things. And I'm going to try to hasten here. Oh, I'm doing pretty good with time, I think. And thank you all for hanging out and still staying. Okay. So, oh man, it's kind of cutting off my words, but I was trying to change the layout so you all could see the slide only. Okay, I'm just gonna let it be. I'm gonna let it be because I think it's cutting off some of the words. But so career preparedness checklist. Take notes if you like. I think this is an easy way to be prepared for the volatility that exists in various industries when it comes to a career. Resume updates. Resume updates. Okay, if you have updated your resume in the last 6 months, raise your hand in the comments. If you have updated your resume in the last 6 months, raise your hand. I'll be the first to say I have not, and I'm teaching the information, and I know better to do it. But that's just a little bit of transparency for you because life can get busy, work can get overwhelming. But you know what? I just had a furlough for 42 days. And so one of the things I could have done was to update my resume during that time frame, right? So when there are windows of time and pockets of time, update your resume, consistently update it. Don't wait until it's time for you to apply to a job. Because 9 times out of 10, if you wait until it's time for you to apply for a job, you're going to be pressured. You're going to feel the weight of it. You're really, really wanting this job, and you want to make sure that your resume adequately reflects the best that you have to offer. And it's just a slight chance that the one project or the one initiative or the one result that you needed to be the best qualified candidate, you missed it because you weren't consistently updating your resume. You remember the big things, but there could have been just one or two things, right? These things are important for you to do in order to reflect your new skills and experiences for career growth. And it also becomes almost like a chart or a milestone marker for that plan that we just talked about, that strategic plan for your career. So as you are accomplishing your goals, now they show up on your resume and it becomes milestones to indicate that you are actively working your plan, and in conjunction with working your plan, the plan is working for you because it is helping you to be most prepared for whatever might happen. Okay. Networking importance. This is something that I don't do well at. I'm just gonna be honest, right? And you all are like, how are you teaching this and you don't do it well? Because when you know better, you need to do better. And so y'all pray for me. Okay. Networking. It's my introvertedness that challenges me when it comes to networking. But networking is so important. You don't know the connections that you will build in your professional network that will wind up benefiting you at some point in your life. It could be you make a professional connection in a networking setting, and it will open doors that you didn't even see coming. There's many stories that I could tell you from other people, as well as for myself, about how networking, connecting, those connections were instrumental to preparing you for something new. And you can, when you build and maintain a solid network, that becomes a part of your plan to respond when things happen in your career, such as a layoff or a reduction of force, etc. This is probably, I'm not gonna say it's the most important on the list, but this is one of the things that I probably talk about the most, is continuously honing your skills, skill development, skills inventory to stay competitive and adapt to an evolving job market. I mean, when you understand, when you take time to understand what's changing in the job market and in the industries of your choice, that helps you know how you need to prepare and upskill or to develop your skills for potentially what may change. If you're out of the loop, if your information is held in your welcome to packet, right? You've never looked beyond your welcome to packet to identify what else is happening in your company or the place where you work. You are causing yourself to be at a disadvantage because you will not be the most competitive if you don't know what the industry is doing around you and how it's evolving. And the job market is constantly evolving. From a financial perspective, saving, right? It's like that save for a rainy day. Well, it's been a lot of rain around here lately. Okay. I'm not talking about physical rain. It's been a lot of rainy days around here. And so if you've established and grow a savings as a financial security net or emergency fund during career transitions, it takes the pressure off of, it takes some of the pressure off in that transition because you're not stressing about paying the bills. You're able to focus on getting the next opportunity. Not a, it creates a different list of priorities when you don't have that safety net, because now you're focused on something different. You can't really fully invest yourself into, marketing yourself or going to networking events or etc. Right? You're focusing on getting the bag because the roof has to stay over your head, right? Food has to stay in the refrigerator, but that safety net helps to build, and you build that safety net while you're in your good job, right? It's often called, Dave Ramsey calls it like an emergency fund, right? Which is about 3 to 5 months of your expenses put aside for those rainy days or rainy seasons. And then personal branding, strengthening your personal brand to stand out and communicate your unique value. You have to know who you are and what you bring to the table, and you have to be able to speak about it. All right, so now we talked about a financial safety net. Let's talk about constructing a career safety net. And this is based on developing skills, savings, network, and portfolio. Those are the four key things of your safety net. Developing a broad set of skills enhances your adaptability, and it increases your career opportunities. The more you've acquired over time, those skills that you have, those will become beneficial to you, and sometimes when you don't even think. And the previous jobs and employment opportunities that you have engaged in all point to some type of skill. In order to do your job, there are skills associated to that, right? There are tasks associated to that. There are certain levels of competencies associated to the work that you do. And your company will develop and say, these are the type of skills that we're looking for. And those things, for you all who may be in the job market, are found in the job description. They tell you what they want, right? So even if your job feels very secure, you're like, I'm good, I would suggest going to your company's career site, career portal, or wherever to identify what are the type of jobs that they are promoting and advertising, and what are the type of skills that they are looking for, and look and see how far off. Like if you were to be hired again, would your job hire you for the job you currently have? The reason why I say that, because sometimes we can become complacent. We get in our jobs, we do the same type of work over and over every day, that we don't think about diversifying our skills, because we could do this job with our eyes closed. But at the moment that your job has to go through a layoff or a restructuring, a reduction in force, and it's now, or your position is eliminated, somewhere there's a job being offered where the work still has to get done. Would your job rehire you based on your skill set? If your answer to that question is no, then that means you're not developing your skills. You're not enhancing your adaptability. And career opportunities aren't necessarily going to come to you, because you have to demonstrate you have a diverse portfolio of skills. Don't get complacent. That's what I'm saying pretty much in short. We talked about the savings as well. Building a safety net, it provides stability when you have career changes and emergencies. Your strong network, building that network through your coworkers, through people in leadership, getting a mentor, all those things are necessary because people have a wealth of information and wisdom, and some of them are willing to share it. They just want to know that somebody's going to listen. Somebody's going to really take their advice and wisdom and do good with it. And those things are irreplaceable. And then being able to maintain a portfolio that highlights your achievements and demonstrates value to the potential employers. You have to know how valuable you are and what you bring to the table in order to be able to adequately articulate that to the people who are looking to hire you. Personal branding and effective networking. We've kind of touched on this, but I'll highlight a few things. Your personal brand and network are powerful assets. Building your visibility and credibility while engaging proactively, it will open doors to new opportunities. So personal branding is so important. And at Verizon, one of the things that we talked about was you don't dress for the job you have, dress for the one you want. But all that had to do was about, all that was pointing at was about how important it is to set yourself apart, right? To align yourself for where you see yourself going. And that's a part of building your personal brand. Your personal brand is like your reputation. Does your name precede you, and what goes with that? What do people think about when they hear your name? Are you considered for certain initiatives or projects or opportunities, right? Have you significantly focused on building a brand for yourself that allows you to be seen as visible and credible? That's based on the level of excellence that you operate in, the quality of work that you put out. Those things all tie into your personal brand. And a recognized personal brand encourages referrals and recommendations, boosting career opportunities. So, like when an opportunity comes up, when you've established your personal brand, your name will come up in people's head, right? You'll be one of the first that they'll think of because you've already set yourself apart. You already started acting like the role that you wanted versus before you had it, right? You started walking in the space of a leader before you had the title and the paycheck. Some people aren't willing to do that. Some people want the pay. They don't want the responsibility without the pay. But I think sometimes those opportunities of having the responsibility without the pay groom a certain level of value and humility, but it also gives you experience that you could take with you. Once again, it's in your personal toolkit. You can take it with you. Some networking strategies. One of the things about networking as well, I think, is what's the focus of it? Is it quid pro quo? You do for me, I do for you. Like you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Or is it really about building genuine relationship? I believe networking should focus on genuine, meaningful connections and relationships because those are the things that people remember. If people only remember you because you always had your hand out being an opportunity seeker, what's the word for that? Is that an opportunist? Yeah, I think that's it. Where the only time you show up to quote unquote network is because you're looking for your next opportunity, then that's not genuine. And people will know that, right? They're not going to think of you when an opportunity opens. So reaching out to people, maintaining connections, even if you so choose to network outside of work, some people do that. They will invite a coworker or a colleague to an event, or some of the sort where you can understand that these aren't just employees, they're people with families and lives and things going on. So that networking is multifaceted. It benefits you in the professional space, but it requires you to be relatable and personal. Okay. All right, we're working our way. We're a little, I think almost halfway through. Did I skip that? Oh, I did. Sorry. Let me go back. So this goes alongside with branding as well. I'm running out of time. Okay. Optimizing LinkedIn, your headline, photo, about section, all those things are important. Here's the short list of things that you should be doing. Compelling headlines that are attractive and demonstrate your expertise are important. A profile photo that is not a selfie in the car with the background removed or something to that effect. Like, focus on investing in yourself. So get a professional headshot. This creates a strong first impression. And we know that first impressions are lasting impressions. In the about section, write something engaging, a summary about your background, your skills. And then skills and recommendations. Not only should you showcase your relevant skills, but also in LinkedIn, I think you can have people actually support and or like co-sign on your skills to validate the credibility and speak to the fact that, yeah, we did see this person excel in customer experience or what have you. All right. Developing transferable skills and action plans. So transferable skills like leadership and communication enable career mobility. Investing in yourself, developing skills is always going to benefit you. A focused 90-day action plan helps you to develop these skills effectively. You can focus on developing skills on your own, or you can partner with Free2Prayz and we'll help you do that. Identifying what key transferable skills are. There are some what we can consider as core or foundational skills that no matter what job you have, where you go, they will be a necessary part of a business. So that could be leadership, it could be communication, it could be project management, problem solving. Like those are things that travel across industry. So identifying what they are and working to fortify them, enhancing those skills, developing them actively and strengthening them to improve your adaptability and career opportunities. It will help you to be marketable across multiple fields. And you can actively work those skills by seeking out those new opportunities that challenge you within the workplace, right? Not allowing your fear to cause you to say, I've never done that before, or no, that's outside of my job description. So I don't think I want to try that. No, you never know what you'll gain from a new experience. So challenge yourself, especially if it strengthens your skill set. So here's just a recommendation of implementing a 90-day career action plan. This 90-day plan, over the course of every 30 days, you set a milestone of some sort with a goal in mind, with the overarching goal for the full 90 days, but you break it down into bite-sized pieces over those 30 days. So in 30 days, you should be able to execute this, right? By the end of 30 days, I am going to take 2 online trainings that help fortify my leadership skills. The next 30 days, I'm going to implement 2 key takeaways from my leadership training in my job. Whether that means you're a leader or not, you can have influence and impact without the title. I said that earlier. And then the last 30 days, I want to get feedback from those around me in reference to their assessment. And that might be a colleague, it might be a manager, might be a mentor, someone who's able to observe you operating in that skill. I want to get feedback on how I've effectively, demonstrated these skills. And that helps you to execute 90 days. Think about it. If you focus on implementing a 90-day career action plan for each quarter, by the end of a year, you have fortified possibly existing skills and or built 4 new skills. An average career is going to be anywhere from, if you start working around your 20 or your 30s, 30 years, 35 years, maybe 40 years. Okay, each year you're focused on building a skill. Think about what that does for you midway in your career. Not even, towards the end of it, just midway or the first leg of your career, right? If you focused on 4 skills a year, you're already setting yourself up to be more competitive than the next. Now, one of the things that we want to be able to do is also focus on our faith and how we leverage spiritual anchors for motivation and guidance. Spiritual motivation is something that, interpreting in our language, is really seeking God about what to do next. Sometimes when these career disruptions happen, we get unnerved by it. But one of the things that we should be asking is, God, what's the purpose of this? And what are you trying to teach me in it? And where do you want me to go next? Right? Consulting God, considering him in all your ways, he will direct your path. That's scripture. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And so that's where that spiritual motivation comes from. Getting that resilience to be able to know that this is a disruption, but it's not a denial. It's a disruption, but it's not a delay, right? It's an opportunity to pivot and to do something different. And then maintaining, how are you feeding yourself? How are you fueling your faith during this process? Applying for jobs can get taxing. Going to interviews can get taxing, and it can weigh on you spiritually. It can weigh on you mentally. You start asking questions like, God, is this ever going to come through? What's going to happen? But fueling yourself. So whether that's some type of devotional, meditation, some type of spiritual discipline, it helps to keep you balanced and anchored as you're pursuing your professional life. Because one of the things that we must know is that God is interested in all aspects of our lives, right? And he works in all aspects. So, in your professional career or your profession, personal, in your health, in your finance, God is concerned about all of those things, and he wants to be a part of all of it if you let him. And so allowing him to help lead you in the direction you need to go when these type of disruptions and pivots happen will help you to be career ready and not scared, because he didn't give you a spirit of fear, but he gave you a spirit of love, power, and a sound mind. All right, we're almost coming down to the last couple slides, so thank you all for hanging out with me and staying this long. Leveraging resources in real life success stories, right? So accessing useful tools and learning from others who have navigated disruption successfully can inspire and guide your career. There are free resources that you can access online You can find career checklists that will help you systematically track your job search progress and key career milestones efficiently. So you can do, we use within Free2Prayz a career mapping exercise or a template that helps you to document, really prepare yourself to talk about yourself, both in written and in the verbal form. There's also templates for professional use for resumes, cover letters, project plans, etc. And they help you save time. They also help you to be ready, stay ready. Sometimes you don't have to recreate the wheel. You just have to get behind it and drive. Okay. And then, as I mentioned, and I've said before, coaching support, enlist and engage support to help you achieve your goals for your career. Also, this coaching serves as a way to help build your confidence, to remind you of who you are, what you're called to do, and the fact that no disruption can defeat you, right? It wasn't designed to do that. So that's where you call Free2Prayz. I've said this before, I'll say it again. It's one of my bishop's favorite lines. Preparation is the key to life. And being prepared, it makes a world of a difference. Thorough preparation, it definitely lays a foundation for being successful, but it also lays a foundation for being able to be resilient and to pivot and to change when things happen in your life. The value of adaptability. We can see so many instances of organizations, and you may know people who struggle with adaptability. And so far as the organization is concerned, or businesses, they are not here, right? Blockbuster. Who? Not here. Kodak. What? Not here. Right? These companies struggled with adaptability. And as I mentioned earlier, new technology is here. It's here to stay. And so if you do not embrace it, it could possibly replace you, right? So being able to adapt, having those strategies, adapting to new circumstances, that gives you a leg up. It allows you to overcome those obstacles quickly and effectively. And combining preparation and adaptability, these things help you as an individual to be resilient, to thrive, and to prevail in your career journey, to be ready and not scared. So prepare, pivot, and then prevail. All right. I've done all the talking. I mean, as I'm supposed to, right? But now I'm done doing the talking for the presentation. This is an opportunity to ask questions. So if you've hung this long with me, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you again. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for staying. If you have questions, feel free to drop those in the comment section. I'm also going to put in our email address that you can send your questions, comments, concerns, anything to do with your career, the stages that you're in, being prepared. If you felt some trepidation, apprehension, uncertainty around what's happening in the industry that you work in, or particularly at your job, it's time to get prepared. It's time to be career ready and not focus on job security, but career security. So please feel free to send your questions that way. Let's just conclude with this. Embracing change is important, and career security is based on being ready. And career readiness involves confidently accepting and adapting to change in the professional world. Adapting to change is important in all aspects of our lives. In the professional world, most assuredly it is. Strategic preparation. Preparing strategically ensures you are equipped to handle the career changes and challenges effectively. When you have a plan in place, when you've prepared, when you've spent the time to invest to develop your skills, when you've implemented your action plan, when you have, you know, mentored, been mentored by others or developed your network, all those things play a major role in being able to handle what may be coming. And then building resilience, the resilience framework that we highlighted, talking about how you can be empowered to face the unexpected. The unexpected is probably the most certain thing. We can expect the unexpected, right? And the way that we prepare for the unexpected is with faith, not fear, and to live it knowing that as we face this uncertainty, we serve a very certain God who knew this thing would happen before it even took place. And so, anchor in your faith. Take the time now to prepare. You may already have been affected by a layoff. Get through that initial state of shock and move to the adjustment phase. So that way you can now start to rebuild. If you need help with rebuilding, please, by all means, reach out to us. We are more than happy to partner with you to help you get to a place where you are career ready and not scared. All right. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us tonight for this conversation. I think I did okay on time. I try not to go over an hour. So if you were helped, if you were encouraged, if you received something from this presentation, please do us a favor and share it with somebody, right? Share it with somebody else. Sharing is caring. Our email address is located in the comments. So if you have questions, feel free to send your questions there. If you would like to schedule a consult, feel free to email us there. We'll do our very best to schedule you as soon as possible. We'll walk you through with this journey until you are ready and no longer scared. So everyone have an amazing night. I didn't see any questions in the chat. So we'll assume that there may be some in the email. If not, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you so much. Have a wonderful and amazing evening. And please have a marvelous Thanksgiving. If you're traveling, safe travels to you. Enjoy your family, make memories, and we'll see you on the flip side. All right. Grace and peace.